Hey guys, I hope we're all doing well during this pandemic, hanging in there, surviving the best we can. Today I'm going to be starting out with a quote from President Harry Truman. President Truman once said, "The UN is designed to make possible lasting freedom and independence for all of its members." Many of you may not know a lot about the United Nations or might have never heard about the United Nations before, but today I'll be informing you. I'll be going over the history, the purpose, and the structure of the United Nations. So in order to do that, we must first get into the foundation. So the United Nations was built off a blueprint from President Woodrow Wilson, who started the League of Nations. The United Nations was adopted during World War II, which ultimately brought it to an end. The first formal use of United Nations appeared in the Declaration by the United Nations on January 1st, 1942. According to Dan Plesh in his 2010 book, The Princeton Encyclopedia of American Political History, he states, "The UN system we know today was created by President Franklin D. Roosevelt and British Prime Minister Winston Churchill 3 weeks after the Pearl Harbor bombing." Franklin Roosevelt was determined to create a global organization to prevent World War III. The United Nations started with 51 countries, and it now has a total of 193 members. So, as you can see here, this is a photograph of the members throughout the years from 1945 to 2002. This is a little bit dated. As of right now, there are 193 members. As you can see at the bottom here, these are permanent seats. There are 5 permanent seats, which include China, France, Russia, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Those are the 5 permanent members of the United Nations at this current time. So, now that we have a little background about the United Nations, let's jump right into the purpose. So, number 1, to enforce peace and security. According to Peter Nadine in his 2019 article, United Nations: A History of Success and Failures, the Security Council is the primary body charged with the task of maintaining peace and security. When states signed the UN Charter, they agreed not to threaten force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state in any manner inconsistent with the purpose of the United Nations. So, our second purpose is to maintain international problems of an economic, social, cultural, and humanitarian change. So, the UN is in the business of improving lives of people through advancing the Sustainable Development Agenda, addressing climate change, and delivering humanitarian relief. According to Peter Nadine in his 2019 article, United Nations: A History of Success and Failure, he states, "The UN system is made up of a collection of specialized agencies and offices which all work to implement the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development." So our third purpose will be to promote and protect human rights. In 1948, the UN adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Since then, the organization, largely through treaty bodies, the Human Rights Council and the Office of High Commissioner for Human Rights, has worked to develop legal instruments to protect the rights of people across the globe. So, without structure, what would an organization be? Let's get into that. So, the UN Charter has also established the 6 principal organs: the General Assembly, the Security Council, the Economic and Social Council, the Trusteeship Council, the International Court of Justice, and the Secretary. According to William Darity in his 2008 book, the International Encyclopedia of Social Sciences states, the General Assembly is the UN's plenary body. Aside from occasional special sessions, it meets in an annual sessions that usually start in September and last for 3 months. The General Assembly oversees subsidiary bodies, calls international conferences, approves budget, and adopts non-binding resolutions on a wide variety of issues. So, history never stops, and the United Nations will not stop continue writing history. I hope I can inform you all about the United Nations a little bit. I spoke to you about the history, the purpose, and the structure of the United Nations. After learning about the United Nations, I hope you are all well informed. I hope you learned something. I hope you gained a little bit more knowledge. Have a great day and be safe. Thank you.